Okay, listen up. Let's get real for a moment. Are you truly satisfied with where you are in life? Take a long, hard look around. What do you see? How many projects are gathering dust, unfinished, abandoned? How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," only to find that tomorrow never quite arrives? How often do you let the whims of your emotions, your feelings, your passing moods dictate your actions, instead of doing what you know, deep down, needs to be done? I know this struggle intimately because I used to be right there with you. I was a master procrastinator, a virtuoso of laziness, a champion of excuses. I'd set ambitious goals, craft elaborate plans, convince myself that this time, I was going to change, to become a new person. And then, nothing. I'd inevitably slide right back into the warm, seductive embrace of comfort, just like you. But then, something extraordinary happened. I stumbled upon something that ripped me out of my cycle of weakness, something that forced me to confront myself, to wake up to the reality of my potential. It was Stoicism, not the watered-down academic version you might encounter in a classroom, but the raw, brutal, warrior-like discipline of the ancient Stoics. The mindset that forged men like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca into unbreakable forces of nature, men who could withstand any adversity life threw their way. The system that granted them immunity to the insidious viruses of suffering, excuses, and weakness. And when I began to apply these principles to my own life, everything shifted. Discipline stopped being a choice, a matter of willpower. It became my identity, the very core of who I was. I stopped waiting for the elusive spark of motivation to ignite within me. I trained myself to obey, to follow through, to act without negotiation. I systematically burned every possible escape route, demolished every flimsy excuse, and constructed a mind that would do what needed to be done, regardless of how I felt in any given moment. And now, I'm going to show you how to do the same. This isn't some fluffy, feel-good self-help nonsense. This is a 2,000-year-old blueprint, a proven system for turning your mind into an impenetrable fortress. But I must warn you, this journey will be harsh. It will challenge every illusion you harbor about why you're stuck, about why you haven't achieved the things you desire. It will force you to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. But if you're truly ready to stop being weak, if you genuinely crave real, unbreakable discipline, then keep watching. Because by the time you're done with this, by the time you've absorbed these lessons and applied them to your life, you won't recognize yourself. You won't be the same person. Before we dive deeper, if this resonates with you, if you're ready to embark on this journey of self-mastery, please take a moment to hit that like button. It helps others find this content and join our community. And if you're serious about taking control of your life, subscribe to the channel. We'll be exploring these powerful Stoic principles and other transformative ideas in depth. Don't forget to leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts, your struggles, and your commitment to change. And finally, share this video with anyone you know who needs to hear this message. Anyone who's ready to break free from weakness and embrace their true potential. Your support means the world, and together we can build a community of strong, disciplined individuals. Now let's get back to it. You don't need motivation, you need discipline. The reason you struggle to get things done, the reason you procrastinate, the reason you fall short of your goals, isn't because you're inherently lazy. It's because you've been meticulously, systematically trained to avoid discomfort at all costs. Every modern convenience, every little shortcut, every life hack, every app, every gadget has incrementally made you weaker, softer, and more dependent on feeling good before you can even consider taking action. But the truth is harsh, and it's undeniable. The more comfort you allow into your life, the weaker you inevitably become. And it's not just you. Society as a whole has morphed into a giant comfort trap, a seductive snare that makes people fragile, easily offended, addicted to instant entertainment, and terrified of anything that feels even remotely hard. You see it everywhere you look. People who give up at the first sign of difficulty, who break down over minor inconveniences, who live their entire lives seeking ease, comfort, and immediate gratification instead of embracing growth and challenge. And I was one of them. For years, I allowed comfort to run my life. If something felt hard, I'd conjure up an excuse to delay it, to postpone it indefinitely. If I didn't feel motivated, I'd rationalize my inaction, convincing myself that today wasn't the right time, that the stars weren't aligned, that I needed to wait for the perfect moment. I didn't grasp the fundamental truth that every single time I surrendered to comfort, I was slowly but surely killing my own potential, chipping away at my inner strength and limiting my future possibilities. And if you're being honest with yourself, if you're willing to confront the reality of your situation, you're likely doing the same thing. But that changes now. The Stoics, those ancient masters of self-control, understood something that most people today have completely forgotten. Comfort is the insidious enemy of discipline. If you aspire to be strong, if you yearn to be unshakable, if you desire to be a force of nature, you have to deliberately tear yourself away from the seductive mindset that things should be easy. Because the truth, the unvarnished reality, is that they won't be. Life is inherently challenging. It's filled with obstacles, setbacks, and moments of intense difficulty. And when you finally truly stop expecting things to be easy, when you fully embrace the inevitability of challenge, you'll become unstoppable. That's what we're going to break down now, how comfort is slowly but surely destroying your discipline, and how the Stoics trained their minds to become indestructible, impervious to the allure of ease. If you've ever wondered why you can't stay consistent, why you keep giving in to distractions, why you struggle to push yourself when things get tough, this is the answer. And once you see it, once you truly understand it, you won't be able to go back to who you were before. This is going to hurt. It will challenge your deepest beliefs about yourself, but it will also set you free. You've been lulled into a false sense of security. Society has convinced you that the ultimate goal of life is to be comfortable, to chase convenience, to avoid any form of difficulty, to make everything as easy and effortless as possible. Everything around you, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, is meticulously designed to eliminate effort. You can obtain food without cooking, entertainment without thinking, validation without achieving anything of substance. And it feels good, at least in the short term. But over time, this constant pursuit of ease turns you into a passive, fragile, and ultimately weaker version of yourself, one that panics the moment life demands something even slightly difficult, one that crumbles under the slightest pressure. You don't have to fight for your survival anymore. No wild animals are hunting you. No wars are forcing you to be strong. No real hardships are actively shaping your character. You wake up in a soft bed, reach for your phone, scroll through endless distractions, and let the world tell you what to think. Comfort has replaced challenge. Convenience has replaced effort. And because of that, you've lost something vital, something essential, the ability to endure, to push through, to dominate your own weaknesses. And it's not just you. Look around. Most people today can't even handle minor discomfort. They break down when things don't go exactly their way. They need constant external validation to feel okay. They are slaves to their cravings, their emotions, their impulses. Because they have never had to fight against them, They've never been forced to develop the inner strength to overcome them. The Stoics understood something crucial, something fundamental. If you don't actively train yourself to handle discomfort, the world will break you. And right now, you're training yourself the wrong way. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're weakening your willpower, destroying your resilience, and making yourself easier to control. It's not just a bad habit, it's a disease, a deeply ingrained pattern of behavior, and it's time to cure it. The reason you struggle to be consistent, to push yourself, to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, it all comes down to how your brain has been wired, how it's been conditioned. Every time you give in to comfort, your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine. That's the same neurochemical that gets released when people take drugs. The more you indulge in easy pleasures, scrolling through social media, binge-watching shows, eating junk food, the more your brain becomes addicted to immediate gratification. This is why discipline feels impossible for so many people. Their brains have been trained to crave instant rewards instead of long-term progress. They want to feel good now, even if it destroys them later. The Stoics saw this weakness clearly. They knew that if you let pleasure control you, you become a slave to your own mind. That's why they trained themselves to resist comfort, to delay gratification, to do what was hard instead of what was easy, because they understood that true freedom comes from self-control, not indulgence. If you want to rebuild your discipline, you have to rewire your brain. That means cutting off the constant need for easy pleasure and replacing it with something stronger. The ability to choose pain when necessary, to push through struggle, to dominate your own impulses. You have to retrain your mind not to seek comfort, but to seek growth. The Stoics didn't just talk about discipline, they lived it. They didn't wait for hardship to come. They actively put themselves in difficult situations to get stronger. Seneca would sleep on the floor and wear cheap clothes to remind himself that he didn't need luxury to be happy. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind to expect the worst, so nothing could ever shake him. Epictetus, who was born a slave, taught that real freedom doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from mastering your response to it. They didn't try to make life easier, they made themselves stronger. And that's what you have to do. Stop avoiding discomfort. Seek it out. Go against the modern mindset that tells you to make things easy. Instead, train yourself to do the opposite, to walk into difficulty, to choose the harder path, to take on challenges when you don't have to. Every time you do something difficult, you break the chains of comfort that are holding you back. You prove to yourself that you are stronger than your cravings, stronger than your emotions, stronger than the weak version of you that wants to take the easy way out. There is no magic pill for discipline. There is no secret trick. There is only one harsh truth. You have to stop choosing comfort. If you keep waiting for the right moment to be disciplined, you will never become the person you want to be. The Stoics didn't wait for motivation. They acted every single day, whether they felt like it or not. That's what you need to do now, because here's the truth. If you don't take control of your mind, someone else will. Society is designed to make you passive, to keep you addicted to ease, to turn you into a follower instead of a leader. And the only way to break free is to train yourself like a warrior, to build a mind that can't be broken, no matter what life throws at you. This is your wake-up call. Stop tolerating comfort. Stop letting weakness win. Stop being the person who makes excuses instead of making progress. Because once you do, you will never be the same again. You've been lied to about discipline. People say you just need motivation, but motivation is a scam. It's an unreliable friend who shows up when things are easy and disappears the moment you need it most. If you wait to feel like doing something, you will never get anything done. That's why most people stay stuck. They wait until they want to work out, until they feel ready to change their life, until they feel like being productive. And what happens? They wait forever. I used to be that person. I used to sit around thinking, I'll do it when I have more energy, or I just need the right mindset before I start. But that day never came. I was trapped in the same cycle of excuses, the same cycle of waiting for inspiration to hit me like a lightning bolt. But let me tell you something. Motivation is never coming to save you. If you rely on it, you will stay weak. You will stay the person who could have been great, but never was. The reason is simple. Discipline has nothing to do with how you feel. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't wait to be inspired to do hard things. They trained themselves to obey, to follow through, to act, not negotiate with their own thoughts. There was no, do I feel like it today? There was only, it must be done, so I do it. That is how I had to train myself, and that is how you must train yourself. Like a soldier, not someone who follows their feelings, but someone who follows orders, orders that come from within. You must become the commander of your own mind, where thoughts of hesitation, doubt, or weakness are ignored like background noise. Because when you master this, you will be unstoppable. You will no longer wake up debating whether you should work out or not. You will no longer delay tasks just because they feel overwhelming. You will no longer waste hours waiting for that magical spark of motivation to kick in. You will act because action is your default setting. The problem is, most people have spent their entire lives negotiating with themselves. They hear the alarm clock in the morning and ask themselves if they feel like getting up. They look at their to-do list and decide if they're in the mood to tackle it. They know what they should be doing, but they sit there debating, bargaining, trying to find a way to make it easier. That is the behavior of a weak mind, one that has never been trained for war. And make no mistake, life is a war. Every day your mind is at war with distraction, with temptation, with procrastination. If you don't have an army of discipline, you will lose. A soldier does not wake up and decide whether or not to follow orders. A soldier follows orders because that is the code. That is how they survive. That is how they win. This is exactly how I had to approach my own life. I had to stop following my emotions and start following a code of discipline, of consistency, of non-negotiable action. My feelings didn't matter, only my actions did. I won't lie to you. This was not easy. I had spent years being weak, years letting comfort run my life, and breaking that habit felt like war. But here's the truth. You don't need to be born disciplined. You become disciplined through relentless training, and that training starts with killing the voice inside your head that asks, do I feel like it? When I started training my mind this way, everything changed. I stopped debating whether or not I should do what needed to be done. I just did it. Whether I was tired, whether I was in the mood, whether it was raining, whether it was inconvenient, I acted anyway. I stopped negotiating with weakness, and once I reached that point, I became unstoppable. This is the real secret to discipline. It is not about fighting yourself every day. It is about eliminating the fight entirely. When a soldier trains, they do not sit around debating whether or not to run, to push, to fight. They do not wake up wondering if today is a good day to be disciplined. Their actions are drilled into them so deeply that hesitation does not exist. That is how you must train your own mind. Right now, you are used to operating based on feelings. If you feel tired, you rest. If you feel bored, you distract yourself. If something feels uncomfortable, you avoid it. But this is a system designed for failure, because it is entirely unreliable. You cannot build a strong life on a foundation that constantly shifts. What you need is a system, a protocol of action that happens automatically, without question. This is how elite warriors are trained. They do not rely on motivation. They do not rely on how they feel in the moment. They have trained themselves to act on command. And I had to do the same thing. I had to program myself to stop waiting, stop negotiating, stop making decisions based on emotions. My mind had to obey, not debate. Most people live their lives as slaves to their own emotions. They let their feelings determine what they do, and because of that, they stay stuck. They are inconsistent, unreliable, easily distracted. But those who break free from this trap, those who learn to act regardless of feelings, become unstoppable. The secret is this: discipline is about predeciding. If you wait until the moment of decision, you will always find an excuse. Your brain will always give you a reason to delay, to soften the edges, to convince yourself that skipping this one time won't matter. But if the decision is already made, if there is no debate, no hesitation, no option to back out, you will execute every single time. This is how the greatest warriors operate. They do not go into battle hoping they will be brave enough to fight. They have already made the decision. They know without question that when the moment comes, they will act. Their minds are conditioned to obey, not negotiate. If you want to develop unshakable discipline, you must do the same. You must train your mind like a soldier, strict, unwavering, absolute. There is no "I don't feel like it." There is no "I'll do it later." There is only "it must be done now." That is the difference between those who achieve great things and those who live in regret. One group does what needs to be done, no matter how they feel. The other waits to feel ready, and they never do. I used to be in that second group, but once I stopped waiting and started executing, I broke free. I won't lie to you. There will be times when your body begs you to stop, when your mind tries to convince you that you deserve a break, that skipping one time won't matter. This is the weakness inside you trying to survive. And in that moment, you will have a choice. You can negotiate with it, entertain it, let it seduce you back into your old ways, or you can act anyway. And here is the truth. The more you act anyway, the stronger you become. Every time you push through resistance, you teach your mind that you are in charge, that you do not negotiate with laziness, that you do not tolerate weakness. Over time, hesitation disappears. You reach a point where your mind is no longer your enemy. It becomes your greatest weapon. This is what true discipline looks like. It is not glamorous. It is not about morning routines or motivational speeches or tricks to make things easier. It is about hard, relentless, consistent action. It's about training your mind to execute whether it wants to or not. At the end of the day, no one is coming to force you to be disciplined. No one will drag you out of bed. No one will hold your hand and make sure you follow through. It is you, and only you. Either you take control now, or you live the rest of your life as a slave to your weakest self. The choice is yours. But understand this: discipline is not about what you feel. It is about what you do. You have no excuse left. You know discipline is not about motivation. You know action is the only way forward. But here's the truth. Most people will never accept this. Even if you understand this, even if you train yourself to act without hesitation, none of it matters if you don't take full responsibility for your own life. This is where most people fail. They wait. They wait for someone to push them, to believe in them, to help them, to guide them. They wait for the right circumstances, the right timing, the right support system. And while they wait, life passes them by. They spend years blaming others, blaming their past, blaming external forces, convincing themselves that their failures are not their fault. And the more they do this, the more powerless they become. I used to be one of those people. I had excuses for everything. If something went wrong, it wasn't because of me. It was because of the situation, the bad luck, the unfair system, the people who didn't support me. I was convinced that if only things were different, if only I had better opportunities, if only someone stepped in and showed me the way, I would finally succeed. But that was a lie. No one was coming to save me, and no one is coming to save you. This was the hardest lesson I ever had to learn, because once I truly understood it, there was no more room for complaining, no more room for self-pity, no more blaming anything or anyone. I had to face the cold, unforgiving truth that if I wanted my life to change, it was up to me. Every single problem, every failure, every weakness, I owned it. The moment I stopped looking for outside solutions and took full control of my actions, my thoughts, my discipline, everything changed. But most people will never do this. They are addicted to blaming something outside themselves. It's easier to say, I don't have enough time. It's easier to say, people don't support me. It's easier to say, the system is unfair. Because the moment you stop blaming, the moment you accept that everything is your responsibility, you also accept that you are the only one who can fix it. That's the real reason most people stay stuck, because once you take ownership, there is no one left to blame but yourself. If you are undisciplined, it's your fault. If you are out of shape, it's your fault. If your career is going nowhere, if your life is not what you want it to be, if you are weak, lazy, inconsistent, that's on you. No one is stopping you from becoming great. No one is forcing you to stay where you are. And if you don't like that truth, it's because you've spent your whole life running from it. This is what the Stoics mastered. They had no room for victimhood, no room for complaining, no room for self-pity. They understood that life was brutal, unfair, and filled with obstacles. But instead of wasting time whining about it, they focused on the only thing that mattered. What can I do about it? And that is the only question you should ever ask yourself. Not, why is this happening to me? Not, who is to blame? But, what am I going to do about it? Most people waste their lives waiting for someone else to fix things for them. They wait for inspiration, for motivation, for approval, for permission. They wait for the world to be fair. But the world doesn't care. The world will keep moving with or without you, and every second you spend waiting is a second wasted. Taking radical self-ownership means you eliminate all excuses. It means you never again say, I can't because of this or that. It means you wake up every single day and ask, what am I going to do to move forward? It means you stop complaining, stop hoping for a savior, and take full control of your mind and actions. And this is not just about work ethic. This is about your entire life. Your emotions, your responsibility. Your thoughts, your responsibility. Your failures, your responsibility. Even the things that weren't your fault, what are you going to do about them? Because sitting around feeling sorry for yourself won't change a thing. There are people who have suffered more than you, who have been through worse than you, who have had every reason to give up, but they still found a way to rise because they understood one thing. You either control your life or your life controls you. The problem is, most people don't want to take full ownership. They want someone to feel sorry for them. They want to be rescued. They want to be told it's not their fault, so they can keep living in their comfort zone. But here's the harsh truth. No one cares about your excuses. No one is going to wake you up in the morning and force you to work harder. No one is going to hold your hand and make sure you stay disciplined. That's all on you. If you fail, that's your fault. If you succeed, that's your responsibility. It's all on you. The moment you truly accept this, your entire mindset changes. You stop seeing obstacles as things that hold you back and start seeing them as things you must overcome. You stop expecting the world to be easy and start preparing yourself to handle whatever comes your way. Most people crumble under pressure because they have never trained themselves to take ownership. They are used to blaming outside forces, so when life throws something hard at them, they collapse. They think, "Why is this happening to me?" instead of thinking, "What do I do next?" That's why radical self-ownership is the most powerful mindset you can have, because once you own everything, your actions, your failures, your mindset, you become untouchable. You stop wasting energy on things you can't control. You stop feeling helpless because you realize you are never helpless. You always have control over how you respond, how you think, how you move forward. And when you live this way, excuses stop existing. You don't wait for a better mood to start working. You don't blame the situation when things get hard. You don't sit around hoping that one day you'll feel ready. You take action every single day. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what obstacles you faced. It doesn't matter how unfair life has been to you. What matters is what you do next. And if you keep waiting for someone to save you, you will be waiting forever. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to make sure you stay disciplined. No one is going to do the work for you. This is your life. You either take control of it or you let it slip away. The choice is yours. But if you want to be strong, if you want to be disciplined, if you want to live the life you were meant to live, you must accept one thing. It's all on you. You already know that no one is coming to save you. You already understand that your life is in your hands, but there's still something holding you back, something so toxic, so addictive, that it keeps even the smartest, strongest people stuck in a cycle of failure. Self-pity. Self-pity is the disease that destroys potential before it even has a chance to grow. It convinces you that your struggles are unique, that life is unfair to you specifically, that you are somehow a victim of forces beyond your control. It makes you believe that because things are hard, you have the right to stop trying. It whispers in your ear that you deserve empathy, that you deserve an easier road, that you deserve to be comforted instead of challenged. And the worst part, it feels good. That's why people cling to it. Self-pity gives you an excuse. It lets you avoid responsibility. It allows you to sink into your weaknesses and get rewarded for it. People will listen. They will comfort you. They will tell you that you're right, that it isn't your fault, that you're justified in doing nothing. And before you know it, you've built your entire identity around your struggles instead of your strength. I know, because I used to do it. I used to sit in my misery and tell myself that my situation was worse than everyone else's. I would focus on every unfair thing that had ever happened to me, replaying my failures like a movie on repeat. And I convinced myself that because I had struggled, because I had suffered, I deserved something in return. I deserved success. I deserved recognition. I deserved an easier path. But what I didn't realize is that the world doesn't care. The world does not reward you for suffering. It rewards you for what you do despite suffering. That is why self-pity is so dangerous. It keeps you looking backward instead of forward. It makes you weak, and weakness invites more suffering. The more you sit in self-pity, the worse your situation becomes. The less action you take, the more you convince yourself that you are a victim. And before you know it, your mind is completely poisoned. The Stoics knew this. That's why they never allowed themselves to fall into the trap of feeling sorry for themselves. They knew that hardship was part of life. They expected it. They prepared for it. And when it came, They faced it head-on instead of collapsing under it. When I first studied Stoicism, I was confronted with something brutal. No one was responsible for my pain but me. Yes, bad things had happened to me. Yes, life had been unfair. But my reaction to it, that was mine. And for the first time in my life, I had to face the truth. I was the reason I was stuck, not my past, not my circumstances, not other people. And that realization changed everything, because if I was the problem, I was also the solution. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped telling my story like I was some tragic hero in a movie, waiting for a rescue that was never coming. I stopped expecting people to care about my excuses, and instead, I took action. Self-pity is a choice. You either feed it or you starve it. And the more you starve it, the stronger you become. The only way to kill self-pity is through extreme accountability. The Stoics believed that no matter what happened, you were responsible for how you responded. That means no blaming, no complaining, no waiting for someone else to fix things. Just brutal, relentless ownership of every thought, every action, every failure. Most people don't want to do this. They like their self-pity. They like feeling like the world owes them something. But that is weakness disguised as comfort. And if you allow it to stay, it will rot your potential from the inside out. The problem with self-pity is that it always wants more. It doesn't just want to exist, it wants to take over. It starts as a thought, then becomes a habit, then becomes who you are. You start identifying as someone who has been wronged, someone who is unlucky, someone who is trapped. And before you even realize it, you have completely given up your power. That's why I had to stop. That's why you have to stop. Because self-pity is the greatest thief of all. It steals time and energy and opportunity. It takes away your ability to fight, your ability to push through, your ability to grow. It keeps you locked in the past, endlessly replaying the same story instead of writing a new one. The reason Stoicism is so powerful is because it refuses to accept this kind of weakness. It forces you to confront yourself in ways that most people never will. It demands that you stop expecting fairness and start expecting hardship, that you stop looking for comfort and start looking for challenge. Because the moment you do that, everything changes. When you stop feeling sorry for yourself, you start taking action. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim, you start becoming a leader. When you stop waiting for life to be easier, you become stronger. But you have to make the decision. No one else is going to do it for you. No one else can pull you out of self-pity. You have to be the one to cut it off at the root. And that means training your mind every single day to reject weakness, to reject excuses, to reject the soft, easy path that leads nowhere. I won't lie to you. This is not easy. It is much easier to sit in your sadness and tell yourself that you have no control. It is much easier to find people who will validate your pain instead of push you to move forward. It is much easier to choose comfort over accountability. But easy is what got you here in the first place. If you want to break out of the cycle, you have to do what is hard. You have to hold yourself accountable at a level that most people never will. You have to stop explaining your failures and start fixing them. You have to stop repeating the same complaints and start changing your actions. The next time you hear yourself complaining about something, stop. Cut yourself off. Ask yourself one thing: what am I going to do about it? If the answer is nothing, then you have no right to complain. If you are not willing to take action, then you are choosing to stay where you are. And if you are choosing to stay where you are, then you do not get to feel sorry for yourself. That is the brutal reality of self-accountability, and that is the only way out. If you want to become stronger, you have to reject self-pity like a disease. You have to treat it as the enemy, because that is exactly what it is. It will whisper to you. It will try to pull you back in. It will tell you that it's okay to feel bad for yourself, just this once. But you must say no. You must recognize it for what it is, a trap designed to keep you weak. And you must fight it with everything you have, because the second you do, you will feel something that self-pity could never give you. Power. Real power. The power of knowing that no matter what happens, no matter what obstacles come your way, you will not break. That is what the Stoics knew. That is what I learned. And that is what you must embrace if you want to be free. Excuses are just dressed-up lies. They feel real, they sound reasonable, and they make you believe that waiting is the smart thing to do. But deep down, you know the truth. Every time you let an excuse stop you, you are choosing weakness over action. You already know self-pity is poison. You already know that waiting for the right moment is an illusion. So, what's left? Action. But not just any action. Relentless, disciplined, excuse-free action. The kind that moves forward no matter the circumstances, no matter the obstacles, no matter how you feel. This is what separates those who achieve from those who stay stuck. The world is filled with people who could have done something great but didn't. They had potential, they had dreams, they had ideas, but they let hesitation, doubt, or fear win. They waited for motivation. They waited for the perfect time. They waited until things felt just right, and they waited so long that they accomplished nothing. I refuse to be one of those people. And if you want to live a life of discipline, neither can you. This is where the philosophy of do it anyway comes in. It is the cure for hesitation. It is the answer to every excuse your mind tries to give you. It is what separates those who take control of their destiny from those who waste their lives explaining why they never got started. The Stoics mastered this mindset. They didn't just accept hardship, they acted in the middle of it. Seneca was exiled, stripped of his wealth, betrayed by his own emperor, and still, he wrote some of the greatest works on resilience ever recorded. Epictetus was born a slave, lived with a crippled leg, endured years of suffering, and still, he became one of the most powerful philosophers in history. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, ruled through plagues, wars, and betrayals, yet still kept his mind sharp, his discipline unshaken, his principles firm. They didn't wait for good conditions. They didn't let excuses take over. They didn't wait to feel like taking action. They did it anyway. That is the mindset you need. That is the standard you must hold yourself to. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like it. It doesn't matter if the conditions aren't perfect. You act, you move, you execute. Most people live their lives as slaves to their emotions. They wake up and check if they're in the mood to work, to train, to take action. And if they're not, they do nothing. But those who succeed do not live this way. They do not wait to be in the mood. They act regardless. They know that waiting for motivation is the fastest way to become weak. I had to train myself to live by this principle. I used to be the person who waited, the person who let small obstacles stop me, the person who said, "I'll do it later." But later never came. And I realized something brutal. Every time I chose comfort, I was choosing failure. So I stopped. I stopped waiting for motivation. I stopped giving myself permission to make excuses. I stopped needing to feel like taking action. And I started living by one rule: do it anyway. When I wake up and I don't want to get up, I do it anyway. When I have a task that feels overwhelming, I break it down and do it anyway. When I face a challenge that makes me want to quit, I push through and do it anyway, because that is the only way to build discipline. That is the only way to become strong, and that is the only way to break out of the cycle of weakness that keeps most people trapped. You have to understand, the world doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're stressed, if you're overwhelmed. It only cares about what you do, and if you keep waiting for the perfect time, you will accomplish nothing. That's why do it anyway is not just a mindset. It's a weapon. It's a way to cut through all the noise, all the distractions, all the excuses that keep you from moving forward. It's a way to train your mind to act without hesitation, without debate, without permission. The next time you hear yourself making an excuse, stop. Cut it off. Replace it with action. Do it anyway. The next time you feel overwhelmed by a task, don't wait for inspiration. Break it down and start. Do it anyway. The next time you face a challenge that makes you want to quit, don't give in. Push through. Do it anyway. Because every time you do this, you become stronger. Every time you choose action over excuses, you rewire your brain for discipline. And over time, you reach a point where hesitation disappears. You become someone who acts without question, without debate, without permission. You become someone who does what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. This is the mindset of the Stoics. This is the mindset of the warriors. This is the mindset of those who take control of their lives. And this is the mindset you need if you want to break free from weakness and embrace your true potential. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Start acting now. Start doing it anyway. Because that is the only way to become the person you were meant to be. Now, let's talk about something most people completely misunderstand. Pain. Everyone wants to avoid it. Everyone wants to make their life as easy and comfortable as possible. But the truth is, pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. Pain is your ally. Pain is what forges you into something stronger, something more resilient, something truly unbreakable. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't just tolerate pain, they embraced it. They sought it out. They understood that every struggle, every setback, every moment of discomfort was an opportunity to grow, to learn, to become more powerful. Most people run from pain. They see it as something to be avoided, something to be feared. They want to numb it, to distract themselves from it, to pretend it doesn't exist. But that is weakness. That is how you stay stuck. That is how you become fragile and easily broken. The Stoics knew that true strength comes from facing pain, from pushing through it, from learning to control your reaction to it. Epictetus, who lived his life as a slave, taught that pain was not something to be feared, but something to be mastered. He said, "Difficulties show men what they are." And he was right. It is in the moments of struggle, in the moments of discomfort, in the moments when you want to quit, that you truly discover who you are. Do you give in to weakness, or do you push through? Do you let pain control you, or do you control your reaction to it? This is why embracing pain is not just about physical challenges. It's about mental and emotional challenges as well. It's about facing your fears, confronting your weaknesses, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. It's about doing the things you don't want to do, the things that make you uncomfortable, the things that force you to grow. Because that is where true strength is built. That is where you become unbreakable. I had to learn this the hard way. I used to run from pain. I used to avoid anything that made me uncomfortable. I used to think that being strong meant being happy all the time, being positive all the time, being comfortable all the time. But that was a lie. True strength comes from facing pain, from accepting it, from using it as fuel to become more powerful. I had to train myself to see pain as a teacher, as a guide, as a way to become stronger. I had to learn to embrace it instead of running from it. And once I did, everything changed. I stopped seeing pain as something to be feared and started seeing it as an opportunity to grow. I stopped trying to avoid discomfort and started seeking it out. I stopped letting pain control me and started controlling my reaction to it. Most people spend their lives trying to make things easier. They want shortcuts, they want hacks, they want instant gratification. But that is not how you build strength. That is not how you become disciplined. That is not how you achieve greatness. You achieve greatness by embracing pain, by pushing through it, by learning to control your mind and your body in the face of adversity. The Stoics knew that life was not meant to be easy. They knew that hardship was inevitable. But they also knew that they had the power to control how they responded to it. And that is the key. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control how you react. You can control your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. You can choose to see pain as a weakness or as a strength. You can choose to let it break you or to let it forge you into something more powerful. And that choice is yours, every single time. So the next time you face pain, don't run from it. Embrace it. Don't try to numb it. Use it as fuel. Don't let it break you. Let it make you stronger, because that is how you become unbreakable. That is how you achieve true discipline. That is how you live a life of strength and purpose. And remember, if you found value in this, if you're ready to embrace the Stoic path to discipline, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a community of strong, disciplined individuals who refuse to be broken.